Well, good afternoon, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. We appreciate you guys coming on big time. And did I say the start of your day? I'm so used to that. Okay. Hi, Andrea, Niagara Falls. Morning or afternoon, it don't matter, eh, Andrea? Sandy, Fergus Falls, Minnesota, on with us this afternoon. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it big time. Let's see here. Judy from New Brunswick, good afternoon to you. We appreciate that too. Big time. Okay. And anybody else? Let's say hello, guys, as you get your notification. Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Always appreciated. Amber, New Jersey. Fran, Orangeville. Gail. And you got Garnet there too, but you got Gail. Hi, Gail from Blenheim. Lucille, how are you? Francis. Vaughn. Roma, how are you? Nice to have you on. Rita, New Brunswick, good morning to you. Judy, Elliott Lake, Etta, how is you? Kevin, there he is. You've been shoveling snow, eh, Kev? Laurie, Cambridge, Wanda, Ridgeway, Grace from Fenwick, Ontario, Wendy from Markham, Frida, how are you? And Lucille is saying, hi, Gail, my son lives in Blenheim. Okay, you guys are talking to each other. Jean from Windsor. Susan, how are you from Florida? Eget, Hearst, Ontario. Cheryl, Vince, Nativity. And Nativity, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Much appreciated. Okay, a couple of more and we'll get going. We got a couple of little studies I want to go over with you. And let me see here if I'm showing up. Okay, so a little bit smaller crowd in the afternoon, but that's normal. Hi, Barbara from Garson, Ontario. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Okay. And I'll say hello to a couple more and we'll get going here. Let me see. That was Barbara. Okay, just looking at my screen here. Okay. And Sherry from Mississauga, Herma from Burlington, and Etta, how are you? And let me see. We'll say hi to Laurie in sunny Calgary. And Veronica, nice to have you on with us this morning. No, this afternoon. Okay, let's get going. Okay, so gout, no gout about it. How do you like that? Okay, no gout about it. No doubt about it. Okay, here's a new study that came out. And this doesn't surprise me, guys, at all. And I mean it, not at all. But here's the study. Reducing uric acid to below 6. Okay? If you reduce your uric acid below 6, it's associated with a decrease in cardiovascular events. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of background. Okay, hi Shelley, hi Mara. If you've been following me, hi Helga, from any length of time, April, Sheila, Vernon, British Columbia. We got some afternoon BC folks on with us. Guys, uric acid. Now, everybody in the world in medicine, when they think uric acid, they think gout, okay? But the vast majority of people that have elevated uric acid, they don't even have gout. But you know this because I've been telling you this for the last several years. I actually added uric acid as a test for metabolic syndrome. Okay, uric acid as a test for metabolic syndrome. And let me give you, again, a little bit of background so that you understand where I am coming from. Okay? Gout has been around as long as mankind has been around. Okay? I mean, you go back in ancient texts and they talk about a gouty arthritis. What was it called? The king's disease. The peasants didn't get gout. The king got it. The aristocrats got gout. The peasants didn't. So it was called the king's disease. And it's funny because one of the things associated with gout is purines. Okay? Purines. And because of that, they always said, medicine said, that gout was caused mostly by eating red meat. Okay? And so red meat got a bad rap because that could give you gout. Now, I pushed back against that years ago on my radio show. Years ago, I pushed back on that because my experience in my clinic was people that got gout or elevated uric acid also had elevated insulin. They had insulin resistance. How did I know that? Because I tested them. I was always looking for their A1C, and there was always a correlation between elevated uric acid and elevated A1C. Okay? A1C, guys, I don't know if this is actually, yeah, I think it is true. It's the poor man's testing for insulin and insulin resistance. So this is why we repeat this all the time. Because your doctor might be reticent to do an insulin test on you. But usually they will never argue about getting an A1C done. It's just part of it's really an easy part of the CBC, the complete blood panel. You do an A1C, okay? And in my experience in my clinic, I started talking a lot about uric acid, elevated uric acid levels, and its association to elevated insulin and insulin resistance in particular. And again, not even with people that had gout. Some people did have gout. I saw gout thousands of times over the years in my office. But I really liked getting the uric acid levels tested. So now let me bring you to the connection between uric acid, elevated, and cardiovascular disease. Because that's what this study is saying. If you can lower your uric acid to below 6, then your risk of having a heart event, like a heart attack or stroke, is decreased quite a bit. Yeah, and for a couple of reasons. Let me give you a couple. One, when you have elevated uric acid, you're going to have elevated inflammation. Okay? Uric acid, elevated inflammation. Okay? Elevated uric acid, we talked about it already, elevated insulin, elevated blood sugar, A1C, elevated blood pressure. Uric acid is a factor in elevated blood pressure. Why? Well, has an effect on the kidneys. Think about it. If you have high levels of uric acid, you're not clearing your uric acid. That can form crystals in a lot of people, and those crystals can become inflamed. That's what gout is. And gout can be anywhere. It's mostly in the foot, big toe, but it can be anywhere, in the heel, in the ankle, in the knee. You can get gout in your hands, gouty arthritis, in your wrists. I've seen uric acid crystals in jaws. So if your insulin is high, your uric acid is high, not always, but there's very much a correlation between the two. Elevated blood pressure because of the effect on the kidneys, and then elevated insulin resistance and inflammation. Inflammation is very much associated. You know, guys, when I talk to you about plaque, what causes plaque? Cholesterol? No. Inflammation? Okay. Glycation? Sugar? Oxidation? Free radical damage. Bad eating creates havoc in blood vessels, guys. Sugar, as you guys know this, we talk about this so much. Sugar is toxic. Your body knows it. The world doesn't know it, but the body knows it. And no matter what the world says, your body reacts to sugar. Why? It cannot park in the bloodstream. It can't. It's a no parking zone for sugar. And your pancreas is dedicated to making sure that sugar stays out of your bloodstream. You get a little wee bit, but that's it. And insulin has a job to do. Your pancreas knows that, thus, okay? It's got, sugar is so damaging. If you want to know, that's one of the reasons that the reset is so good for people. Why is it so good for people? Well, you know why? Because right out of the gate, if you just cut out sugar in your diet, you are really giving your blood vessels a major rest from inflammation, oxidation, and glycation. A major rest. Okay? So, uric acid is an addition to metabolic syndrome. Okay, so let me just go over that again. What constitutes metabolic syndrome? Well, when you have a couple of these factors, okay? Elevated triglycerides. How do you get that? Sugar. Lower HDL cholesterol. That is cholesterol is so important in your body, guys. God don't trust you. 85% of it is made by your body. 15% you're supposed to contribute. 85% comes from your body. That's how important your cholesterol is. So they made it a boogeyman when it is far from being a boogeyman. I have talked about that for 40-something years. They blame cholesterol because it's at the crime scene. Of course, cholesterol is going through your blood vessels, guys. Of course. It would be like you going down the 401 in near Toronto or the 400 or whatever, and you don't see one transport. Travel anywhere. No transports? Well, how does food get around? How do goods get around, right? Okay, you can have trains. But guys, we all know this. It's about 100 to 1. Goods being moved by cargo, by transports, compared to trains and boats and planes. Planes, trains, automobile. That's a movie. Anyway, but guys, all I'm saying is cholesterol is a transporter. It's on your side. It carries your hormones. And it's got an extra wagon in the back to take triglycerides, your fat balls, back to the liver for processing. You think that's important in your body? You bet your boots it is. Okay, so now, metabolic syndrome is characterized by high triglycerides, low HDL cholesterol. The transporter, look, and I like LDL too, but HDL is a real important transport truck on the highways and byways of your blood vessels. Belly fat, because belly fat tells you about visceral fat. And if we get a chance this morning, we'll talk about that this afternoon. I'm pulling out my senior card. I pulled it out today already a few times. It's not morning, it's afternoon. Anyway, okay, so elevated triglycerides, low HDL. You want your HDL to be at least equal with your triglycerides, but even better if it's higher. High HDL, low triglycerides, belly fat, elevated blood pressure, elevated blood sugar. Those are all part of metabolic syndrome. Okay? And then at the Martin Clinic, what did I do? I've added a few. I've added uric acid. It's a great test. And if it's elevated, you got trouble with metabolic syndrome. It's just my experience. And I didn't wait for the world to tell us that uric acid could be dangerous. Everybody's got uric acid, by the way. It's a byproduct of your Krebs cycle, okay? You're manufacturing inside your body and energy production. You're going to have uric acid. You just don't want it to be high. And don't worry, I don't, even talking about gout. I mean, gout might be an effect, but I'm more concerned about that number because it elevates your inflammation markers. And then another one I added was vitamin D. I've added it to metabolic syndrome. Why did I do that? Because if you have low levels of vitamin D, almost invariably, 99%, you're going to have trouble with insulin. Vitamin D is such an important metabolic vitamin. It's really not a vitamin, it's a hormone. You don't have enough vitamin D, your immune system doesn't work, your brain doesn't work, your heart doesn't work, you don't get enough nitric oxide, and that has a major effect on heart, doesn't it? Is there anything negative about vitamin D? Nope. But when you're low, it's part, in my opinion, of insulin resistance. If you have insulin resistance, you're going to have a lot more trouble absorbing vitamin D. And as you can see around me here, the sun is out. Well, good luck with that. It's freezing cold. You ain't getting no vitamin D today. And the other one I've added, is it controversial? I don't think so. B12. B12. So, because that's what I found. I found people with insulin resistance. They were low in vitamin D and low in B12. So I just added these, okay? You won't see it in the mainstream. They're not going to talk about those markers, but I do. And I think I'm very right to it, okay? And by the way, I didn't even say this on the top of the program. You know that gout is gone through the roof in terms of numbers, okay? Gone through the roof. We're eating less red meat than ever. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. Meat consumption has gone down. Sugar consumption has gone way up, especially high fructose corn syrup. And fructose elevates uric acid. Fructose is, remember where it gets metabolized? It gets metabolized in the liver. That is so important, guys, for metabolic syndrome. You guys know that because you get fatty liver. Insulin takes sugar and stores it in the form of glycogen in your muscles, in your liver, and in your fat cells. Okay? It has to park it somewhere. It cannot park in the bloodstream. So you guys know this. Why is gout gone up? I don't know. It's up 300%. I said this on my radio show. Because they weren't even thinking, it's purines. No, it's not. I'm not saying that. I think 1% of people that get gout have trouble with purines. I never bought the purine lie. I always talked about insulin. High fructose corn syrup. The worst thing you can do is drink sugar. Okay? What did Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, and all those cola companies and all those soda companies, what did they do? They changed the sugar. They turned it into, sugar was bad enough, guys. Okay? Because it's one molecule of glucose and another molecule of fructose. That's how you get sugar today. And the fructose is metabolized in the liver. But then the geniuses in the world changed the sugar. They found something in a lab that was cheap, addictive. You think the food industry, guys, is on our side? They brought in all the scientists from the tobacco industry to get us hooked. Do you know that there's crunch scientists? There's scientists, all they do is try and get the crunch, the chips, to crunch just the right way. Guys, they're not on our side. They're in the addiction business. And this is what I noticed in my office years ago, that uric acid levels were going through the roof. And one of the biggest causes of that is high fructose corn syrup. It goes directly to the liver without passing go. It's metabolized in the liver. And remember, I've said this to you maybe as recently as yesterday. How does a bear get fat? Fructose. Fructose. Of course, a bear will eat up to 30,000 blueberries a day, getting ready for hibernation. Okay? But guys, fructose gets metabolized in the liver. When the liver is overrun, uric acid goes through the roof. Very, very hard on the kidneys. It's uric acid. And people today are very much, dehydrated. It's another big condition because they don't flush the kidneys out, the Niagara Falls of your body. They don't drink enough water. They're not flushing out that uric acid, guys. They're not flushing out enough of the urate. Kidneys need to flow water constantly. And there's actually a study out, I'd have to go and dig it up somewhere, that showed that uric acid is no match for 3 liters of water a day. Okay? 3 liters of water a day, uric acid apparently is no match for it. Isn't that something? Okay, anyway. So, headlines. Uric acid, if it's elevated above 6, bad news for the heart. What do you do to lower your uric acid? Think of insulin resistance, cut out the sugars, especially don't drink sugar. Dr. Martin, it's Tropicana. I don't care. It's no good for ya. Don't drink juice. You can have a smoothie. Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie with heavy cream. Okay? Fat. Because fat don't make you fat. Sugar makes your liver fat. Fatty liver. Elevated uric acid. Don't drink sugar. You want to have an orange? Eat an orange. I mean it. You want to have an orange? It's got fructose in it. But it's delivered to your liver slow. It's on a slow boat to your liver. Don't drink it, because you can take an orange and now you drink orange juice, even though, Dr. Martin, it's got fiber? Yeah, even though it's got fiber. It's on your way to the liver to pack it up full of fat in nanoseconds. So don't drink fruit. I see these stores in the mall, Come and get a fruit smoothie. I get a migraine. You're filling up the liver. And liver has a big effect on your heart. And you're filling up your body with uric acid. And you're straining your kidneys, which will elevate your blood pressure. Okay. Okay. Now, what's Friday? Q&A. Okay? Q&A. So, on Friday, before that, send your questions in to info@martinclinic.com. info@martinclinic.com. Have you got a copy of, if you're in Canada and you want copies, because they're still available, Sun, Steak, and Steel, remember that. Sun, Steak, and Steel. Okay? And in Canada and the United States, our newest book, hot off the press, very, very high sales, and we thank you for that. Rebuild Your Temple. Okay? Rebuild your temple. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. Tomorrow will be a morning session as per usual. Thursday, I'm planning an afternoon session again. Planning. But I'll let you know, okay? We love you. Talk to you soon.